People continue to express frustration with the state's unemployment system. Every day we hear from you. Some have gone months without checks and spend hours trying to get through busy phone lines. We went on your side asking the state's labor secretary for answers. Out-of-work Kansans are waiting.
I get told that I'm going to get paid in 2 days. That 2 days comes, I don't get it.
Waiting for an unemployment system.
I've never experienced anything with this kind of delay.
Desperate to catch up.
Everything about this has been just frustrating.
Frustrating for state officials and those caught in the crunch.
My last check I got in July.
Kelsey Holmes of Topeka has an 18-month-old son and a daughter on the way. She applied for pandemic unemployment assistance, and no one can tell her why she's not receiving it.
Every time I call and ask, they say your account looks fine. Your paperwork is turned in. State Labor Secretary Ryan Wright says since the pandemic began in March, Kansas has paid 3.2 million claims totaling $2.3 billion, an amount greater than the prior 8 years combined.
We are trying to patch systems that are 40 years old. No system was designed for this.
The result, cases backed up. Wright says since he became acting secretary in June, the backlog of regular unemployment cases has shrunk from 25,000 to 6,100. But the federal PUA program involved creating a whole new administrative system, and 25,000 of those cases remain stacked up. Wright says a new piece was just installed and brought online this week that should help.
Now, if they log into their system, into their accounts, they can figure out what we need from them, and they can submit that online, and then we can adjudicate that and get those checks out the door. And that will happen in short order.
Why couldn't your people simply answer the phone when these people are calling so they could have gotten this information in that much more quickly?
As far as the calls go, at the start of this pandemic, there were 20 people answering phones. And we have, at the height of it, there was 1.5 million call attempts in a single day.
Wright says call center staff has gone from 20 to now more than 250 people answering phones, but they're still logging up to 4,000 unique callers a day. Responding to complaints about long hold times, they set up the system so that if you'll be on hold longer than 15 minutes, you get a message the lines are full and you should call back.
And what I can tell you is 80% of the folks that are calling in are able to get through within the first 2 to 3 attempts that they try to get in. And we're able to track that so we know. So,
but those are the complaints we're still hearing.
Absolutely. You're hearing those complaints, but what I'm telling you is the data doesn't show that.
And I literally might call 40, 50, 60 times off and on during the day waiting to get through.
Steve Hansen of Council Grove started calling when the benefits he received for months stopped without warning October 3rd. This week, he finally got through to speak with someone.
They told me that I'd been flagged for some sort of, that my situation had been flagged for fraud.
But you'd never received notification you were flagged for fraud?
No. All I know is I've been in the system, I've self-certified every week, and nothing's changed.
Wright could not comment on Hansen's specific situation, but said it's possible a legitimate claim is getting caught up in efforts to fight unprecedented levels of fraud. He said the agency is stopping 2,300 fraudulent claims a day, 157,000 so far.
This is nationally costing taxpayers between $8 and $26 billion in fraudulent claims. And so we owe it to taxpayers to make sure that when we're paying out claims, that we're paying out valid claims.
But it's those people with valid claims for whom patience is growing thin.
It's really difficult because, our bills are racking up.
Some are concerned the clock is ticking, with many of these programs set to expire later this month. Wright offered reassurance.
If you're owed $1 from this agency and your claim is valid, you will get paid that money, even if these programs end.
The question for those waiting is when that payment will come.
I would just hope the state would respond by recognizing the problem and finding the personnel to actually solve it so they can communicate.
Wright said the agency continues adding staff to address the backlog. And again, that new online feature for the PUA system just went active this week. So if you are part of that backlog, Wright urges you to log into your account through getkansasbenefits.gov and see if you can provide what's needed to get your claim moving. And they do promise that they will look into Mr. Hansen's situation with that fraud block on it.